Now let me walk you guys through what each of these things are. I'm pretty confident it's gonna be awesome. It's time to get ready for another year of homeschooling. This is our kindergarten curriculum, but we'll be going through TIMBERDOODLE, and today I want to walk you guys through it and what we're going to be doing with our two little kids for kindergarten this year. This is our homeschool room, and where we do our school every year with the kids. We keep all of our homeschool stuff organized over here on this desk, and the kindergarten curriculum is this section right here in these drawers. I'm going to pull it all out so you can see what we're up to this year. Okay, now let me first say that we are using TIMBERDOODLE's curriculum. We love them. We've been using them for a few years, and they were cool enough to send us this curriculum so we can review it for you guys, use it this year, and tell you about our experience with it again. But I'm pretty confident it's going to be awesome because they've been so cool. I was homeschooled my entire life, kindergarten through 12th grade, so I've been through a lot of curriculums myself growing up, as well as some things that we've tried with our kids, and we love TIMBERDOODLE because it is hands-on. It's not just like a ton of boring book work. It is very kinesthetic, where your hands are involved and your sight and visuals and everything's involved, so that it's like the most immersive learning experience. And my wife and I both prefer that learning style ourselves, and so do our kids. So we get more excited about doing school with our kids when we know we're going to sit down and do something fun together. This is the outline of what we wanted to accomplish this year with our kids. We've got all the school broken down into weekly chunks so we can manage it much more easily. We break our schedule down into two main chunks. We have the essentials, things that we have to do this week, and then we have kind of like bonus stuff. These are just kind of fun, miscellaneous activities that we can do. It's kind of the inventory of all the extra stuff we have, so we can just kind of, do those for fun if we want. But this is the essential stuff. And so we start off with the subject. We're going to start with Bible, and while we're reading, the kids will be doing some artwork. We'll be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, trying to do one chapter a day. These are the actual pages that we're reading that week. As we read each page, we check it off here so we can kind of keep track of where we're at. And by the end of the week, the goal is to have all of these boxes checked. We use basically everything that TIMBERDOODLE includes in their complete kit. They also have a basic kit and an elite kit, but we use the complete. Now, they don't include anything in terms of like Bible stuff, and so we love the Jesus Storybook Bible, and we will read through, about a chapter of one of these chapters every single morning, just to kind of kick things off and let the kids do something fun with art while we read. Now, TIMBERDOODLE includes this thing right here, which is kind of their curriculum handbook, and this is gold. What I love about this is it really kind of does all the work for you in giving you your weekly checklist. It gives you an annual one too. Here's the annual planner, but then it gives you, for the complete kit, which is what we're using, and this is for the elite kit, it kind of helps you break it down to what subjects you need to do, how much you need to do of it each way to finish everything in the course of a week. I like doing things throughout the course of a week because sometimes things come up and, the attitudes are just bad, or something happens where you just can't do school every single day, or just one day is a big struggle, but the next day is going to be awesome and you're going to burn through a lot more work in a short amount of time than you normally would. So I like doing it in a week because it lets you work at your kid's pace and at your pace with your schedule, so that you can get through everything rather than like, at the end of every day we need to have this done. If we don't, we're falling behind. It's like, no, you can catch up the next day, and I love doing it like this. Now, this book also takes you through each of the parts of the curriculum that are in here, and just kind of helps you understand what's included and how they recommend using it, including, some scheduling recommendations and just like some tips on how to use each of these. I do read through this. I find it to be very helpful for understanding how to use a lot of the stuff that they've included. So very helpful, actually decently valuable curriculum handbook that I highly recommend. Now let me walk you guys through what each of these things are. Starting all the way over here, this book is called What Your Kindergartner Needs to Know. And no, we do not go through this entire book. There's a ton in here, but there are a few subjects in here and some good reading material that we will use with our kids. That's what these sections are on our list. So what your kindergarten needs to know. We're going to do literature, geography, and history, and science from this book. And we just broken it down to each week. We need to read 2 poems, fables, stories, or sayings, 1 geography or history section, and then 1 science, story, activity, or bio. And these are the page numbers where we're going to start, and we check them off as we go. So for example, we'll just read a few of these with our kids and maybe discuss it a little bit as part of the literature section. And then it goes on to kind of include stories that we're going to be reading with them, and just a lot of good nursery rhymes and fables and stories that our kids should know. This starts the world history and geography sections that we will be reading with them. It's very basic information, but you know, it's kindergarten, so it's just like enough to introduce them to some geography and history type things. And then here's the science section that walks through, you know, plants and growth and some basic biology and seasons and weather and, you know, just that kind of stuff. We're getting them started with science. Now, in terms of math, that's what this stuff is right here. We've been using Matthew C for a long time, and we like it because it is very, very hands-on and visual. You know, it comes with this big thing of blocks. Hold over my head. And so they use this actually throughout the entire curriculum, and it's very hands-on, and this is incorporated throughout the curriculum. So they're not just like seeing abstract numbers on a page, they're actually seeing it visually and tangibly moving things around and learning the math that way. It comes with a DVD, or you get the digital kit and watch. There's a video for each lesson. You start off the week by watching the video. They're very short, 3 to 5 minutes or so. The kids usually pick up on it really quickly, and then they go through their student workbook and they just do those math lessons and those pages for that week. They do 1 lesson a week. There's about 4 or 5 pages. There's also this teacher handbook, which basically just kind of gives you a few tips about how to teach that if you need to. But the DVD does a great job. Really, the only reason what I use this for is the answer key, so I can quickly check the answers to their work and to their tests that they're doing, so that I mean, for this level math, I can just check it real quick. But as it gets to the more advanced math, I rely on the answer key, so I don't spend a whole lot of time doing each problem myself. In the past, we've used a book called Teach Your Kids to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, and that's a great book. But I think for Hallie, who's our daughter going into kindergarten this year, just sitting down doing some book work, I don't think that's going to work for her. So this is what TIMBERDOODLE included, which I'd never heard of before, but I'm glad that they included this. It's called All About Reading. This is going to work much better for her because, again, this is going to be more hands-on with flashcards and sight words and spelling and things kind of all put together. I think this is going to work a lot better for her. And then even in this student workbook, it has it's, you know, things that she can actually work through and color and write on, as opposed to just kind of sitting and reading a book with one of us. Even cutting things out, placing them, this is going to be like exactly what Hallie needs. It comes with these readers, which I like better in these stories, better than the ones in 100 Easy Reading Lessons. And the pictures are great, and the stories are just kind of high quality. It feels more like you're reading a story, even though the words are pretty basic, as opposed to the other book, which is kind of like, you just kind of put a bunch of words together and tried to make a story. But this is, Hallie's gonna love this. This is about animals, and it comes with 3 levels. So by the end of kindergarten, she should read all 3 of these books. TIMBERDOODLE doesn't just focus on reading and math and a lot of the normal subjects. They also focus a lot on critical thinking, which I really like. It's not just about, you know, learning information, but it's learning how to process information and how to solve problems. I think that's like a critical skill that I really want my kids to learn. And so one of the things that they have here is, this is a series called Developing the Early Learner. And it is a series of 4 books that they'll work throughout the course of the year. We have another 4 of them here because Toby will most likely be going through this as well with Hallie. But the book is really nice because it is just a lot of like problem solving stuff for them to do, for them to figure out as they're working through this. Is like what's the same, what's the difference, and trying to like just motor skills, you know. So they focuses on motor, visual, auditory, and thinking skills. And so they work through 4 of these books throughout the course of the year, and they get progressively more difficult and a little bit more advanced as you go through it. This is one of those things that Timberdoodle throws in just to make your job easier as a parent. This is something that they wrote to help you as a parent work through developing the Early Learner series. And they just have some notes about what's happening, what your child's learning, and some things that you can do as a parent to just kind of help really reinforce that for them as your kids work through the book. Now these books right here are, let me go through these kind of quickly with you guys. They got geography, which is from Skill Sharp Nerds. This is kindergarten grade, and it's super colorful, and it's a workbook that they can work through, and it's very hands-on. It's, you know, they're cutting things out, they're repositioning things on the table, and it just introduces them to not only some like motor skills, but just like basic things about map skills and geography and islands and volcanoes and weather and seasons and map symbols and, you know, oceans, mountains, hills, stuff like that. They also have this doodle book called I Can Doodle Rhymes, and it's kind of a mix between art and crafts and doodling, but also learning spelling and letters and sounds and words that rhyme and sound the same. So this is going to be something that helps them learn in like a creative way while they're reading and learning words, but they're also like coloring and doing a lot of activities here on the page. Hallie is gonna love this type of book. And then there's this Happy, Sad, Feeling Glad book, which, you know, honestly, Dan and I, we talked about this. I'm like, is this important for Hallie to do and Toby to talk about feelings and emotions in a way that, you know, draw food in the pot and put some on dog's plate, yum, you know, like he's hungry, he's making him feel cranky, you know, is this, and Dan and I talked about, we're like, we think this is actually a really smart thing to include, because part of homeschooling isn't just about learning information, and it's not just about, you know, passing some tests. It's about developing character and developing you into a good, solid, you know, rounded person. And this, like Dana said, my wife, she's like, this is going to be good for us to start having conversations with Hallie, our 5-year-old, about about being embarrassed. You know, and it's going to be good conversation starters for her to start just feeling in tune and identifying how she feels and the impact that has on her environment and herself and her family and things. And so I think we thought about eliminating this, but we're going to do it because we think that those are going to be important conversations that we need to have, and this will be a good way to kind of prompt and spark those conversations with her. This science book called Exploring the Building Blocks of Science, this looks so much fun. One of the struggles that Dana and I have had in the past with science curriculum is that it tends to be very time consuming from a preparation standpoint, like where there's a lot of different materials you got to get together for different experiments, or there's a lot of different like concepts you have to explain. But this book makes it easy to do a lot of the science stuff just here at home with things we already have, with things that are already in our house, you know, that we don't really have to do a lot of prep work for. And so there's a lot to do like in the actual book itself, but even outside the book, we think this is going to be a great kind of balance between doing some book work and activity work about science, but also being able to do some things in our home that can illustrate it without taking a ton of time. That's what those books are about. Now she has spelling as well. We've been using Spelling UC for the past few years with some of the kids. This is the instructor handbook, and this is important. You actually do need this because it gives you the things that you need to teach and kind of talk about in quick kind of bullet point forms for each lesson, and then it kind of gives you the key that these are words that the kids will be writing in their book, which is right here. It includes a sticker pack, which is a lot of fun for rewards and decorations and motivation and things like that. It includes a guide to handwriting, which is a handy reference for kindergartners who are learning to write. And then this is the student workbook. And this is what they go through. Now they can't really do on their own. They do need the parent to kind of read what words, write the words your teacher says, which is in the parent book, the teacher guide I just pointed out. And it kind of just talks them through how to spell, and then they start doing it on their own without any guidance. And you'd be surprised how quickly they get here to this point. I was anyway when we did this with the younger kids. They start off pretty basic, but man, these kids pick up on it pretty quick. And before you know it, they're spelling just on their own without any guidance. You're just giving them words. But because they've learned the foundation behind how to assemble words, they get really good at it, like really fast. So that's all the essentials right here. Now let me show you guys the bonus stuff, because all that is up in there. This desk is where we keep everything organized. This is third grade stuff, which I'll tell you guys about in a separate video. But in the kindergarten stuff, the kids have these books they can choose from. Now, some of those bonus material stuff are some of these types of like workbooks the kids can, like Dana can say, hey, and when you just like grab this lower alphabet book and just start working through this stuff. And these are books that we picked up just over the years at garage sales and curriculum fairs, and they have maybe like 1 or 2 pages done, and then another kid stopped, and so we get it and we get to finish the book. So that was just some nature books that the kids can read, and then just some miscellaneous stuff up here. But this is the jackpot right here. So this is all stuff for kindergarten. Almost all of this is for kindergartners. So there's like laser maze up here. At the top is a really good critical thinking skill. So is the human smart cookies, as well as visible human, is a big body puzzle of the body that you put on the floor. Geo puzzles, and then this is a smart game for like Maze, Little Red Riding Hood, and this is the science kit for kindergarten. It's got like 60 different science projects in it. Everything from like a slime lab to creative crystals to making volcanoes to balloons and all sorts of fun stuff. Everything you need for over 60 mega experiments and fun activities is right here in this one box. So if they do like 2 of these a week or so, they should get through everything. Our plan for the year is that I will be working with the 3rd graders, Hannah and Zeke, and Dana will be working with the kindergartners with Hallie and Toby. And so we both need some flexibility, which is why just having like that bonus list of stuff you can just give to the kids and be like, you work on this right now. This is what your job is. This is what you're doing. And I think that's going to be like a lifesaver, because we just all need some of those quick, you do this, I need to go take care of that. Like something's burning on the stove or something, I'll be back, and just keep them active and keep them engaged, even if we're not in the room every second of the time. I'm expecting that everything in this essentials list should take about an hour to an hour and a half per day, with it becoming lesser towards the end of the week on like Thursday and Friday, because they'll have already done like the bulk of it in the beginning of the week. We kind of like it that way because our kids typically have a lot of energy to do school on like Monday and Tuesday after not having done it for a few days on the weekend, and then they just kind of start wearing down throughout the week. So by the time we get to Friday, it's good to just have like very little to do. And so that's what I think this is designed to really kind of get to, that type of rhythm. Now, I put this list together myself, but I know this can kind of look a little bit intimidating. Like, wow, that looks like it took a ton of work to put this together. But as you already saw in the workbook, TIMBERDOODLE did a lot of this work for me. But they also have a website. It's called TIMBERDOODLEschedules.com, where you can simply just enter in some information about how many weeks you want school to take, which curriculum things you're using, and what kind of pace you want to go through and everything. Mark the days you're taking off that year, the weeks you're taking off, and then you click one button and boom, it creates the whole entire schedule for you week by week with all the page numbers and everything like just done. It's awesome. I preferred to do it this way because I already had this done from before I used that tool. I wish I'd known about it before. And I feel like this also kind of gives me some flexibility that if we don't finish everything that we need to do one week, this is, I can easily update this. And you can on their website as well, but this is, easily at my fingertips. But if I had started with the website before this, I probably would not have made this. So definitely a valuable resource. If you guys are interested in learning more about TIMBERDOODLE, there's a link in the description of this video. You can click and go check it out and see if it's right for you guys or not. We will be continuing to tell you guys about our homeschooling journey throughout this school year with this curriculum, with our kids, and kind of keep you updated on how it's going and what we're learning and what we're changing and all that. We would love to have you subscribe and follow along with our family story as we just explore how do we become a better family team that works together, learns together, grows together, and everything. So you have a big family like us, or even a little family, just to learn like how does a family work and grow together. That's what we're all about. So subscribe, and we'll see you guys again for our next video where we're going to review the curriculum kit for 3rd grade, which will be what Hannah and Zeke will be going through. So we'll see you then.